Coming up with new ideas, it's not easy. But discovering a product that, although not new, can give us that wow factor to our creativity, well, let's just say I had to try it. And the best part is that it works just like magic, using, believe it or not, an iron. So first, let's test it with a small sample. This silky product is called Angelina Fiber, and it's a synthetic polymer fiber that binds onto itself. I grab a small piece and insert it in between a folded parchment paper. Now this is very important. Don't make the mistake I made later on in the video. Set your iron to silk temperature. Then iron as you would anything else, and flip it to the other side as well to bind the fibers on the back side. Look how beautiful it looks. It flattens and hardens just like a sheet of paper. And if it acts like a paper, then what can I do with it? Can I hole punch it? This time I take a little more Angelina Fibers, as the more you use, the more solid the background will be. I iron it on both sides, but I want to create straight edges, so I fold the edges onto the center and iron it again. The beauty of the fibers is that they bind and rebind onto themselves, over and over again. So I create a rectangular shape on all sides, as I want to make sure it fits through the punch. Then I punch out a few small flowers out of the fiber sheet. I can't believe it works, and they come out so beautifully textured. But what should I do with them? That's when I come up with the coolest idea. I spread the flowers onto a piece of silver Angelina Fibers and iron everything together. Because in theory, and so I hope, the fibers should bind onto each other even when already hard, and no matter the shape. I lift the baking sheet, and wow, they did, and it looks amazing. This would make such a cool card background. So I just iron the edges onto themselves again to make a rectangular shape to fit my card. I'm so excited, I must continue to experiment. Because if it works with punches, then will it work with dies? I iron another piece, but this time I use purple Angelina. And I even add a little piece of silver in the middle, because you can combine colors together. I again bend the edges to create a straight border and place a starburst die on top to cut, but the shape doesn't cover the whole sheet. The beauty of this product though is that you can add more Angelina Fibers and fuse them together. So I take some more silver and fuse it under the purple square to make a larger square following the same steps I did before. Then I die cut the starburst by running it through my die cutting machine a few times to make sure it cuts through. And to my amazement, it cuts beautifully. Now I'm on a roll. So I wonder, could I emboss it? So I create another sheet, this time in silver, and bind the edges again to make a rectangle. Then I place it inside a texture fade embossing folder and run it through my die cutting machine. And it works as well. It's so shimmery, and while I have the embossed sheet at hand, I decide to die cut a heart out of it, as it's perfect for that wedding card I want to make my niece who's soon getting married. And this gives me the idea that instead of having straight edges, wouldn't it be amazing to die cut a heart but keep the frayed edges? So I do just that. I leave them the way they are and die cut a heart from an uneven sheet. And I glue the heart's negative image as an embellishment on a previous art journal I made. But this would look amazing on a card as well. Stay tuned as you'll see how I incorporate all these images into textured cards. But as I grab the sheet with the mini flowers, I notice that the flowers are not fully bonded. And this is where I make that major mistake. I make the assumption that I should raise the temperature on the iron, as I read that for thicker pieces, you might need more heat. Well, big mistake. It changed the color of the fibers. I probably should have kept the iron on low heat for longer than increase the temperature. I guess it's a happy accident, as it looks really nice with dual color flowers on my card. To glue the embellishments on my cards, I apply a thin layer of glue and then cut a few words out of my downloadable sentiment sheets I sell on Etsy. They are the perfect customized addition to these cards, especially the wedding one. And if you think ironing my art is cool, imagine bleaching it the way I do it in this video right here.